Autonomic junctions are the sites where various drugs can act. Well, what are these drugs and how they act, we are going to see in this video. Hey everyone, welcome to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter for daily updates. Now you know that we have already finished with the anatomy of the autonomic nervous system. We have also finished the physiology of the autonomic nervous system, and now in this video we will talk about the autonomic neurotransmission. So in the previous video I have told you that at the autonomic junctions the neurotransmission which occurs is the chemical neurotransmission which occurs by the neurotransmitters. Now what are these neurotransmitters? We have already finished that also in the previous video. So please go and watch that video so that you can understand this video more clearly. Now we will talk about the physiology of neurotransmitters in this video, that is the synthesis of neurotransmitters, their release and their removal from the synapse. Okay, so we will start our discussion from the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Okay, so first we will talk about its synthesis. So the site of synthesis. What is the site at which the acetylcholine is synthesized? So always remember that all the neurotransmitters are synthesized at the nerve endings. They are not synthesized in the cell body. Okay, so since acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter here, it will be synthesized in the cholinergic nerve ending. Okay, so now I will draw a axon ending here, which are also called as the terminal buttons, and then I will show you the synthesis first of the acetylcholine, then its release and then its removal from the synapse. Okay, so in the axon ending there are many mitochondria, and from this mitochondria we get one of the reactants which are required to synthesize the acetylcholine, and it is acetyl coenzyme A. Okay, so I just write down all the full forms here on the left side. So this is acetyl coenzyme A. Now the another reactant which is required to synthesize the acetylcholine is the choline. But choline is present outside the axon ending in the extracellular space because it has been recycled from the acetylcholine. So now this choline has to enter inside the axon ending so that the acetylcholine can be synthesized, and that happens via the help of a transporter located on the presynaptic membrane. So this is a transporter, and the name of this transporter is sodium dependent choline transporter. Now through the help of this transporter, the choline will enter from outside to the inside of the axon and then combine with the acetyl coenzyme A to form acetylcholine. Okay, ACH is acetylcholine, and this reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme called as the choline acetyl transferase. So this is an enzyme called as the choline acetyl transferase. Now that the choline is synthesized, now that the acetylcholine is synthesized, it is present in the exoplasm. Okay, so it has to enter inside the vesicles for the purpose of its storage. Okay, so now these are the vesicles and the acetylcholine has to enter inside the vesicle. So on the vesicle membrane there is another transporter which helps, or you can say which facilitates the entry of acetylcholine from the exoplasm into the vesicle, and that is called as a VAT. So VAT is called as the vesicle associated transporter. Okay, so now the acetylcholine has finally entered inside the vesicle and it is being stored now. Okay, so these are the acetyl molecules inside this vesicle, and like this there are many vesicles inside the axon ending which are having the acetylcholine, and when the signal came, only then these vesicles will go and they will release the acetylcholine. Okay, so what happens that now a signal has came, the action potential has came, and now what will happen, there will be release of these neurotransmitters, there will be release of this acetylcholine. So we have completed with the first part, that is the synthesis. Now the second part in the physiology of neurotransmitters, it's the release of the neurotransmitter, and that takes place by the process called as the exocytosis. Okay, so for that the action potential arrives, and when the action potential arrives, it causes a change in the membrane voltage, and that causes the opening of the which type of channels? Calcium voltage gated calcium channels, and because of this the calcium will start entering inside the axon. Okay, so now the calcium enters inside the axon and it will trigger the process of exocytosis. Okay, so the release of acetylcholine or all the neurotransmitters, they always occur by a process called as the exocytosis. So it is triggered by the increase in the calcium concentration inside the axon. So as a result, what will happen now, the vesicle will move towards the synaptic membrane. Okay, the vesicle will start moving towards the synaptic membrane, and now what will happen, that this vesicle will actually fuse with the synaptic membrane. This is a vesicular membrane which will fuse with the synaptic membrane. Okay, and the neurotransmitter is present inside the vesicle. Now I'll show you this content here in a zoomed manner. So this is the synaptic membrane. Yes, this is the synaptic membrane. Now the vesicle has came because the exocytosis is triggered, and this vesicular membrane will fuse with the synaptic membrane, and as a result what will happen, that all the vesicular content, all the contents inside the vesicle will be released in the synapse. So here all the content will be released in the synapse, and this process in which there is a fusion of the synaptic membrane with the vesicular membrane is called as a dogging. So dogging is a process which occurs in the exocytosis. There are many proteins involved in the process of dogging which are not I will tell you in this video because that requires another video. You just remember that there are multiple proteins which help in the fusion of the synaptic membrane and the vesicular membrane, and thus they will be release of the neurotransmitter in the synapse. So this is a postsynaptic neuron, and this postsynaptic neuron will contain a receptor. It contain a receptor. Which type of receptor is present on the postsynaptic membrane? I have told you in the previous video, it is a type of ligand gated receptor. Okay, so now ligand gated receptor, or it could be the G protein coupled receptor, both types of receptor binds to acetylcholine. So this acetylcholine will come and bind to this receptor. Okay, so we have talked about the synthesis, we talked about the release of the acetylcholine, and now the third thing is the removal. So what is the requirement of the removal of the neurotransmitter from the synapse? Because if we don't remove, what will happen, the postsynaptic neuron will remain excited, and that is not a normal condition. So for that, we talk about the removal of the neurotransmitter. So always remember that the removal of the neurotransmitter occurs by 3 ways. Number 1 is the enzymatic degradation. There is some enzyme in the synapse or on the postsynaptic membrane which act on the neurotransmitter, degrade it, and hence there will be termination of the action of neurotransmitter. The another method is the reuptake. There could be a transporter present on the presynaptic membrane which then takes the neurotransmitter back into the presynaptic membrane, presynaptic neuron, and terminates its action. The third way is the diffusion. There could be diffusion of the neurotransmitters into the surrounding, and hence there will be termination of the action of the neurotransmitter. Okay, so in the case of the acetylcholine, there will be enzymatic degradation, which is the most prominent. Okay, so what happens, how the acetylcholine is being removed? It is removed by the help of an enzyme which is located on the postsynaptic membrane, and this enzyme is named as acetylcholine esterase. So after the acetylcholine bind to the receptor, exerts its action, it will go to the acetylcholine esterase, and then acetylcholine esterase will degrade this acetylcholine into acetate and choline. Okay, and then this choline will be again reuptake by the help of the transporter called as a sodium dependent choline transporter. So choline is being recycled again and again. Okay, so these are the steps of the synthesis, release, and the removal of the acetylcholine. Now, what are the drugs which act on them, and what is their mechanism of action? Okay, so the very first drug which acts on them is called as a hemicolinum. So hemicolinum acts where it inhibits this transporter. Which transporter? Sodium dependent choline transporter. So as a result, what will happen? The choline cannot be reuptake, or it could not be transported inside the axon. So if the choline is not available, acetylcholine will not be synthesized, and there will be deficiency of the neurotransmitter at the synapse. Okay, the second type of the drug is called as the vesimicol. So vesimicol come and it inhibits the transporter called as a VET. VET is vesicle associated transporter. So vesimicol inhibits it, and it inhibits which process? It inhibits the neurotransmitter storage. So it inhibits the uptake of the acetylcholine from the axon, from the exoplasm inside the vesicle. Okay, these both drugs, hemicolinum and vesimicol, this both type of drugs are used in the experimental studies. Okay, then the next type of drug is the drug, or you can say the toxin, which inhibits the dogging process. Okay, this is called as a botulinum toxin. So botulinum toxin inhibits the dogging process, inhibits the release of the neurotransmitter, and this type of drug is used in controlling the muscle spasms. Why? Because acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter which is released at every neuromuscular junction. So acetylcholine causes a muscular contraction. So when the botulinum toxin is given, it will inhibit the release of acetylcholine, so there will be no contraction of the muscle. Hence it is used in controlling the muscle cramps. Okay, then the fourth type of the drug which can act at the autonomic junction is the inhibitor of the acetylcholine esterase. So if any drug inhibits the acetylcholine esterase, what will happen? There will be no enzymatic degradation of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine will remain in the synapse and continue to excite the postsynaptic neuron, and that is done by a drug called as a neostigmine. Neostigmine is a drug which acts this, and this is used in a disease called as a myasthenia gravis. So myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder in which the acetylcholine receptors are disrupted, and as a result, what will happen? There will be muscular fatigue. The person cannot contract, cannot move its muscles, cannot move its body. Why? Because the muscles are paralyzed. Okay, so neostigmine is given so that the acetylcholine can remain on the receptor for a longer duration and the muscle can contract. Okay, so these are the notes. Okay, a very important announcement here that soon we are going to make available the notes, that is the content, or you can say the slides which we are using in our videos, and for that you need to follow us on our official pages like the Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We will make an official announcement there that where you can get our content. You can download the PDF from that, and you can study easily from that source. Okay, so all the points I have already covered, that it is stored in the cholinergic nerve ending, transported inside the axon. Choline is transported inside the axon by the help of sodium dependent choline transport. Then it forms the acetylcholine and then it is released. How it is released? By the process of exocytosis and then removal of the acetylcholine by the help of the major is the enzymatic degradation. Okay, then this is a table which is showing the drugs affecting the cholinergic neurotransmission. What is the drug, then what is the drug which is involved, then the action of the drug, okay, then the site of the drug action, the process it inhibits, and what is its use. Okay, so this is the main purpose of this video, that I am also telling you that where are these drugs can be used. Now we move on to the next neurotransmitter at the autonomic junction, which is the norepinephrine. So we talk about the synthesis of norepinephrine, the release and its removal from the synapse. So first we talk about the site of the synthesis. Okay, so I have already told you that all the neurotransmitter they synthesized in the nerve ending. So here the norepinephrine will also be synthesized in the adrenergic nerve ending. Okay, so for that process I need to make a axon ending to show you the entire process. So this is an axon ending. Okay, this is an axon ending, and all the catecholamines. Okay, all the catecholamines are norepinephrine, epinephrine and dopamine. So these all catecholamines are synthesized from an amino acid called as tyrosine. So this tyrosine is present outside the axon. It is present in the extracellular space. So it has to enter inside the axon, and that is done by a transporter. The name of this transporter is sodium dependent tyrosine transporter. So by the help of this transporter, the tyrosine will enter inside the axon. Okay, now the tyrosine, I can write tyrosine as TYR, okay, will be converted by the help of tyrosine hydroxylase enzyme into DOPA. Okay, so TH here stands for tyrosine hydroxylase. Okay, and the full form of DOPA is dihydroxyphenylalanine. Okay, now this DOPA will be converted to another chemical called as the dopamine. Okay, and this reaction is catalyzed by an enzyme called as the DOPA carboxylase. Okay, DOPA decarboxylase. Okay, so now dopamine is formed, so it will enter inside the vesicle. It will enter inside the vesicle, and just like the acetylcholine, here also the entry of the dopamine inside the vesicle will be facilitated by a transporter, and the name of the transporter here is VMAT. Okay, the full form of VMAT is vesicular monoamine transporter. So by the help of this transporter, the dopamine will enter inside the vesicle. Okay, now what will happen, I will draw this vesicle here. Okay, dopamine is present inside the vesicle, and now what happens that inside the vesicle, within the vesicle, what will happen, the dopamine will be converted into the non-epinephrine. It will be converted into the non-epinephrine. So this is what the non-epinephrine. So non-epinephrine is the only neurotransmitter in the body which is being synthesized inside the vesicle rather than transported into the vesicle after its synthesis. Okay, and this conversion, the conversion of dopamine into the non-epinephrine inside the vesicle is done by the enzyme called as the the name of enzyme is dopamine beta hydroxylase. Okay, so I write the full form here, dopamine beta hydroxylase. Okay, so now we have a vesicle containing what non-epinephrine. Okay, so now the non-epinephrine is formed and it is stored inside the vesicle waiting for a signal to came. Okay, so a signal has came, that is the action potential has came. There will be a change in the membrane potential that will cause the voltage gated calcium channel to open. Calcium will enter inside the axon, and this will lead to the process of exocytosis, and there will be release of the contents in the synapse. So there will be release of the content in the synapse following the dogging process. Okay, so now the content will be in the synapse. The non-epinephrine is in the synapse, so it will bind to the receptor present on the postsynaptic membrane. This is a postsynaptic membrane. There will be receptor here. Okay, this is a receptor, and to this receptor the non-epinephrine will bind. Okay, so synthesis we have completed, release we have completed. Now what happened for the removal? So here the prominent method by which the non-epinephrine is removed is the reuptake process. Reuptake process by the help of a transporter present on the presynaptic membrane. Okay, so this is a transporter located on the presynaptic membrane, and the name of this transporter is NET, that is non-epinephrine transporter. So by the help of this transporter, the non-epinephrine will then again be transported inside the axon in the presynaptic neuron. Okay, so we have completed the synthesis, its release, and then the removal. Removal is by what? Removal is predominantly by the which process? By the reuptake, by the help of non-epinephrine transporter. And removal is also occurring by the process of diffusion. The non-epinephrine will be diffused into the surroundings. Okay, now we will talk about the drugs. Okay, so what are the drugs and what is their site of action? So first drug is metriosine. So metriosine will act and it will inhibit the enzyme called as the tyrosine hydroxylase. So if tyrosine hydroxylase is inhibited, what will happen? There will be no synthesis of the neurotransmitter. Okay, so metriosine is used in a disease like hypertension, okay, to control the blood pressure in a disease called as a neochromocytoma. Okay, that is a disease in which there is adrenal medullary tumor, so lot of epinephrine and non-epinephrine is secreted, but by the help of this met-tyrosine drug, the synthesis is inhibited, so there will be less release of the non-epinephrine and epinephrine. Okay, then the another drug which is used here is the risperidone. Risperidone is a drug which inhibits the vesicular monoamine transporter. Okay, then the dogging process or the exocytosis or the release of the neurotransmitter is inhibited by the thallium. Okay, so this is another drug which inhibits the Brightelium is another drug which inhibits the dogging process, that is the release of the neurotransmitter. Reserpine is also used to treat the hypertension. Brightelium is also used to treat the hypertension and you can say the chronic pain. Okay, and then the this non-epinephrine transporter is also inhibited, and that is done by the cocaine and by the various antidepressants. Okay, so that is used in the depression treatment. So if reuptaker, the transporter is inhibited, what will happen? The non-epinephrine will remain in the synapse, and hence what will happen? The postsynaptic neuron will remain excited. Okay, it will be remain excited. Okay, so these are the notes. Okay, tyrosine is converted into dopa by the help of tyrosine hydroxylase. It is a rate limiting step. Then dopa is converted into dopamine by the help of dopa decarboxylase. Then dopamine inside the vesicle is converted into non-epinephrine, and non-epinephrine is the only neurotransmitter which is synthesized inside the synaptic vesicle instead of being transported inside the vesicle after its synthesis. Okay, now a very important point here is that in the case of adrenal medulla secretes 80% epinephrine and 20% non-epinephrine. Why? Because only the adrenal medulla cells and the CNS cells, they have an enzyme which converts the non-epinephrine into epinephrine. Autonomic ganglions, or you can say the autonomic neurons, they lack this enzyme, and hence their secretion is only non-epinephrine. They don't secrete epinephrine because they lack the enzyme which converts the non-epinephrine into epinephrine, and that enzyme is phenylethylamine and methyltransferase. Okay, so what happens is that non-epinephrine is synthesized, it will leave the vesicle, okay, converted into the epinephrine by this enzyme, and then this epinephrine again enter the vesicle. Okay, and then it will wait for the next impulse to come, and there will be release of the epinephrine by the process of which process? Exocytosis. Okay, it will be again released by the process of exocytosis, and then removal is mainly by the non-epinephrine transporter, then diffusion also, and certain enzymes are present in the extracellular space which are responsible for the degradation, like the monoamine oxidase and the catechol and methyltransferase. Okay, then the drugs which act and how they act, what is their mechanism of action. So met-tyrosine, adrenal medullary tumor, pneumochromoscytoma, and reserpine will be used in hypertension. Brightelium is used in the hypertension and chronic pain, and cocaine is used in the depression. Their drug action and their site of action is already given in the table. Okay, so with this we reach at the end of the video. In the upcoming video, I will talk about the disease of the autonomic nervous system. In that video, there will be diseases which are due to the failure of the sympathetic nervous system, and there are diseases which occurs due to the failure of the parasympathetic nervous system, as well as the hyperactivity of these systems. Okay, so please follow HM Learnings on official pages like Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, because we regularly sharing some updates that will help you in your Viva. Also like, share and comment on this video. Till then, keep learning.